Hey everyone, welcome to Real Talk with Ellison, and I am Ellison. Listen, if you're on Facebook, please go ahead and hit the like button. If you are on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we go live. Listen, we got a good show coming up, and on Real Talk with Ellison, we talk about real issues that impact the people in the community as well as the churches. And with that being said, we're about to get this show started. Hey everyone, welcome to Real Talk with Ellison. Listen, we know it's Women's History Month, right? But we are doing it with a twist because in order for us to make history, sometimes we need to know what's going on in our life so we can get there, right? So on today, we are going to be talking about some wonderful topics: menopause, premenopause, perimenopause, PMDD, your pause, my pause, everybody's pause, right? So we're just going to be talking about it and we're going to be getting real with it because what is going on in our bodies? So I wanted to just give you guys a little bit before I bring on my co-host as well as my special guest. Now, every woman eventually goes through perimenopause, yet many of us have never heard of it. Many of us have never, ever heard of perimenopause, premenopause interchangeably. We never heard of it, right? But so what is it? We'll be discussing that on today. So I wanted to just throw in there that, listen, I went to the doctor, right? And I'm going to bring on my co-host, but I got to share this part. I went to the doctor the other day and I was like, man, my stomach is starting to grow and I never really had much of a stomach. So what in the world is going on? She was like, oh, menopause. I was like, what? So you mean to tell me we gain weight through menopause? But what we're going to do here today is we are going to focus. We're not going to focus on the weight. We're going to focus more on educating ourselves, focus on hormonal knowledge, and how to target lifestyles and strategies to help us get through this. So with that being said, I have my wonderful co-host Jay with me on this evening. Hey girl, hey.
Hello. Happy to be here again.
Yes, ma'am. And then I have my other wonderful co-host Lanika.
Hey, y'all.
Hey girl, hey. And joining us in discussing this topic is none other than Miss Tammy Holmes. Hey, Tammy.
Hey, ladies. How are you?
We're good. Thank you so much for joining us today. Tammy, guys, is our RN for today, and she going to enlighten us, and I can't wait. So, Tammy, do me a favor. Tell us just a little bit about yourself before we go ahead and get started.
Okay. Good evening, ladies. Thank you,
Good evening.
Ellison, for having me on your platform again. It's wonderful to be here. I am a nurse of 35 years. I'm also a nutritionist and a herbalist. I am currently a nursing supervisor in a hospital setting, and I also have my own business called Sacred Wellness and Beauty, where I teach women how to live a healthy lifestyle through holistic lifestyle changes. Hello, ladies. Did you hear me?
Yes, that is
Oh,
awesome. Thank you so much for
okay.
sharing with us, Tammy. So, we're going to put up some information on Tammy really quickly, ways to contact Tammy. The Instagram is Sacred Wellness and Beauty. You can email her. Make sure y'all get this information down because after what we discuss on today, y'all going to want to make sure y'all have it.
Tammy, I forgot you were a nutritionist. I will be calling you this Monday.
See
Yes.
what I'm
Okay.
saying?
I'm
Already.
here, Lanika.
So hey, let's just straight jump straight in it, right? Can we start off, ladies, with PMDD? What in the world is PMDD?
Okay, I would like to say if PMDD was or had a poster child, it would be me. And the reason why I say that is because PMDD, all it is a severe case of PMS,
Hmm.
severe and chronic case of PMS. They don't know what causes it, but it usually occurs weeks before your period. I don't know if I know when I used to get my periods, I could tell weeks before that it actually came that it was
Mm.
coming, and that is what PMDD is. It gives you the cramping, the irritability, the bloating, the nauseousness weeks before your period actually starts. So it's a more severe case and a chronic case of PMS.
Wow. So let me ask you this because I was reading, right? And I also seen where sometimes you could people are just crying for no reason. Is it possible to have like muscle and joint pain with PMDD as well?
It's all of it. I had all of it. I had the
Mm.
muscle and joint pain. I had the bloating where it felt like you are so bloated. You just feel irritable. There's really nothing you can do, and there's really nothing to help with the symptoms as far as, to get a relief, except maybe your ibuprofen or things like that. But yes, you experience all the above and more.
Right. Wow. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. So PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. They classify it as a true disorder. That's exactly what it is. And like Tammy said, it is horrific. I don't know if I had it or not.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been in menopause so long, I don't remember if I had it or not. But
If you had
but
it, I think you would remember because it occurs several days before your period happens. And I was one that used to get severe menstrual cramps. So the
mhm.
cramping would start way before the actual flow of the period.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for educating on us on that because again, a lot of people have never heard of it. They don't know what it is. The men think we crazy, and that's not the truth.
Exactly.
All right, ladies, what y'all got? We're gonna go ahead and move on into like menopause, pre-menopause, perimenopause. Where are we starting at?
I think we should probably start on Perry, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So Tammy, if you can, well, first of all, I've never heard of perimenopause.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
My close friends started telling me about it, and because we started talking about it first, because Tabitha Brown, she's been talking about it on Instagram and TikTok. And when my girlfriends was like, you know what Tab is saying, that's what I'm experiencing. I'm gonna talk to my doctor. So I had never even heard of perimenopause. So can you tell us about perimenopause?
Right. If you don't mind, I'm going to start with just menopause because a lot of people don't even know what menopause is.
Hmm.
So I'm just going to just give a short definition of menopause, and that's a natural decline in the reproductive hormones when a woman reaches her 40s and her 50s. So that's what menopause is. And menopause is when you haven't had a period for at least 12 months.
Hmm.
So even if you're having your period every other month, or you're skipping a month, or you're having lighter bleeding, as long as you're bleeding, you're not in full blown menopause, because menopause is not having a period for 12 months complete, straight, consecutively. Now, premenopause and perimenopause, they use those terms interchangeably, but they are different. Premenopause is when you are having no symptoms at all. You may be within the menopausal age, which is 40s and 50s, but you're not having any symptoms. You're not having any bloating. You're not having the missed periods. You're not having the irritability. You're not having any of those symptoms. So you're good. The perimenopause is when your estrogen level starts to decline, and that's when you'll start to experience those symptoms like the bloating and the anxiety, the depression, the vaginal dryness,
Mm,
the irritability, um, sleep disturbance, hot
mm.
flashes. So that's
Wha-
in perimenopause. Premenopause, you should not have any of those symptoms at all. But in perimenopause, when the ovaries start to, the estrogen starts to decrease, that's when you'll find that you'll start having those recognizable symptoms.
Listen.
Okay. So let me get this right. Okay. So the peri is when you start to see and experience the changes. Pre
Exactly.
is when there's no type of change. You're getting your cycles as fluently as you've always gotten them, all right?
Exactly.
So I'm happy to know, like Ellison said, she never heard of it. I never heard of it. And just now, when you explained it, it gave me a clear understanding of what peri is. So
Hmm.
don't experience it in pre, you experience it in peri, before
Ex-
actual menopause.
exactly.
Got it.
So what actually happens, like, so in the premenopause, right? I'm trying to track with y'all. There's too many menopauses going on around
Yeah.
here. So
Pause, pause.
in the premenopause is where we experience the symptoms,
No,
right?
we don't.
Peri,
No.
peri.
Pre-menopause is no symptoms.
Okay, peri.
Peri perimenopause, and that's because there's a fluctuation in the level of estrogen in the body. It's the
Okay.
estrogen level that's going to cause all these symptoms. So in the
Okay.
premenopause, your estrogen is still basically the same. You're not having any decrease. But perimenopause is when your ovaries start to produce less estrogen, and that's when you'll start to experience the menopausal symptoms.
Okay. So I want to jump in if it's okay, because so menopause is when, right? So can you have like more than one menstruation in a month, or shorter menstruations maybe? Does your menstruation fluctuate during this time? Like, what should we look for? We got the bloating and stuff, but is that possible that we can have more than one period or a shorter menstruation?
Well, it varies from, that's what makes menopause so difficult. And because all women, we're all going to experience it, but we all have our different, see, I never had a skip period ever. I never. Sometimes I wish I did because my periods were so severe. And I
Right.
used to hear my girlfriend say, "Oh, I skipped a month," or "Mine didn't come." So it varies from woman to woman. And yes, you can skip for a while, and then your periods will start back up again. So that makes menopause so difficult and so hard to treat, pretty much. But
Now,
yes,
Okay.
each woman is different. Some bleed for 3 days. I used to bleed for
Me too,
seven
child. Me
days.
too, child. During them night pads, them night pads that about this big that
It
go from the
yes.
front all the way to the back. Yeah, done.
I, yes, I know. I used to have clots, bleeding, heavy bleeding. I mean, to the point where I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't travel. So it really started
Mm.
to affect my life. And that's when a lot of women become depressed.
Yes.
They have anxiety, they have panic attacks because it's a lifestyle change if you don't know how to deal with it. And now
Right.
that
That's
I'm
good.
over it, now that I've educated myself after the fact, because like I said, I was the poster child for PMDD. I didn't know at the time it was
Wow.
PMDD. I thought it was something that I was just supposed to go through. And
mm,
how I found out was I bled so much, and my doctors, they really didn't say, "Well, how are you doing?" And that's one thing, our GYNs, they don't really, we go in for our pap smears
Mm-hmm.
and they tell us, your pap smear was good, but they rarely ask you about your flow, your menstrual
Yeah.
flow. And I used to always tell my doctor, I bleed a lot, and he really never said anything. And I used to always say, "Well, I know if you have fibroids, you bleed a lot." And I
Right.
used to always say, "Well, did you feel when he used to do the two-finger exam? I said, "Did you feel for fibroids?" He said, "Oh, I don't feel anything." I
So
had a fibroid the size of a football in me,
wow.
and it was only found because he did a
Ultrasound.
ultrasound or a
Wow.
CAT scan. That's when they found it, because when they do the vaginal, they can't feel for every fibroid
Right.
because sometimes it's so far up.
Yeah.
So I was living with this. That's why I was bleeding so much.
Right. So
Yeah.
Tammy, let me ask you this. Thanks for sharing, because the same thing happened with myself, but mine's was the size, I mean, maybe a little bit more than a softball, but maybe a smaller than a soccer ball. So the same thing happened to me, right? The thing about it is I developed anemia because of the bleeding, right? So the bleeding was so much that I developed anemia. I used to have to get iron infusions. I sit there for hours for it. So you said fibroids. What about endometriosis and stuff like that? Can that be a result of it?
A result of the bleeding,
Yes.
of course, yeah, endometriosis as well. And I
Okay.
also went through, my hemoglobin went down to 5. And usually in a hospital, a hemoglobin of 5 is an emergency.
Oh,
And my
yeah.
doctor called me on the phone and she said, go straight to the ER. So I had to get a blood transfusion, and I also had to receive iron infusions for
Mhm.
several months, which did not really bring my iron level up that much until
Mhm.
I
Right.
end up having the surgery. And that's when my iron levels started to increase. And now they're at a normal level.
Okay.
So Tammy, I have a whole list of questions from my girlfriend. She can't see that word. So she sent me a whole list of questions. So she wanted to know, she went to the doctor and the doctor recommended estrogen to her. And she wanted to know, do you recommend estrogen to balance out hormones, or is there a natural supplement or any natural herbs that she could take to kind of balance out her estrogen, because she's having cycles for 3 weeks out of the month.
Wow. Okay, there are, and
Yeesh.
me and Ellison was talking about this before when she first came on. There
Because I
are
was having a
natural,
hot flash, Tammy. You didn't have to
right?
throw me under the bus.
There are natural remedies you can use. There are natural herbs you can use. There's also hormone replacement therapy, HRT, which is the estrogen. Now, each person, like I said before, each person is different. And I just met a lady about a week ago, and she said that she took the estrogen replacement for just a couple of months and it helped her. And then she went right off of it. The only thing that I'm going to say about the natural herbal remedies is that you have to take it, and it's not going to, it may not be overnight. So because it's a natural herb, it's something that has to be in your body for a while. So that means you have to take it on a daily basis. Even I mean, if it's a tea for you to drink, you have to drink at least 3 cups of that tea a day for at
Wow.
least a couple of months. But there's other things that you can do in conjunction with that, like
Okay.
change your diet, like meditate, like do exercises. So with the natural herbs, there's other things that you still have to do. So you can't just use natural herbs and not take care of your diet, or you
So what
can't use.
natural herbs, Tammy? Because I'm thinking like, we was talking about black cohosh root, right? So we
Mhm.
were talking about black cohosh root, and I'm a firm believer of black cohosh root. And you
You can't tell all
like
her
you.
secrets.
Well,
She can't
well,
tell all her secrets.
I know, but can we just talk about the black cohosh root?
Well, there's other herbs that you can also use with the black cohosh, because maybe that may not work for you. So you could use black cohosh, you could use American ginseng, you could use liquid root, you could use red clover. Those are some other herbs that's good for the female reproductive system and for menopause. Some say you could use soy products. I don't know how well the soy products does. You could use St. John, an herb called St. John's bush. So there are several herbs that you could use with the cohosh or in place of the
So
cohosh. So
Tammy, do you make this stuff? Because you said it was a
I
tea.
have mostly all the herbs that I just named here. So what I would do is I would make a blend for someone, because you may need more than that one herb. So I would do a consultation on the person, and I would see what their needs are. I would see about the hot flashes, how often they have the hot flashes. But then again, like I said, you have to use the herbs along with other lifestyle changes in order. And each person is different. It may work for you without changing your diet, and it may not work for you. But I would say always change your diet and change
Okay.
some of the things that you're doing. So if you are continuing to eat a lot of sugar, a lot of starchy foods, and then expect the black cohorts to work, then they may not.
Ellison,
So you
Because
mean I
say
those are
actually got to
some of the
take the black cohosh is what you're saying?
foods that you also should eliminate to help
Sugar.
with those symptoms.
so. My question was, you kind of answered it to an extent. So, with I was gonna ask the question of the hot flashes, right? Um, how can women reduce having hot flashes? And this is one of the most, effective ways as far as eliminating the hot flashes.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
And let me just get something real quick. I'm going to read something to you by Queen Afua, and I don't know if you know her. She's a well-renowned holistic practitioner in Brooklyn, New York, and I've studied with her. And she's big on womb health, like your womb, taking care of your womb, so
What's
we
her
don't
name so
have.
we can put it in the chat?
It's Queen Afua,
Oh, we
and
not gonna know how to spell that.
her book is called. I don't know if you can see this, Sacred Woman.
Okay.
Sacred
Okay.
Woman, and she talks a lot about the womb. And she says the health of the womb indicates what is going on in the rest of a woman's body. So,
Mm.
meaning the womb is the reproductive area of our body. Once all flesh foods, this is the key, once all flesh foods, their byproducts, and cooked starches are removed from your diet, your menses will begin to reflect total wellness and you will bleed for less, maybe 1 or 2 days, or even just a few hours. That means we have a healthy womb. A pure diet creates a pure womb filled with love, light, and wellness. So, what she is telling us and what she is saying that the healthier you are in your body, as far as your diet, the healthier you will be going through menopause. So, you won't
Okay.
have the PMS. You won't have the painful cramping. You won't have the blood clots. You won't have the exhaustion. You won't have the anxiety.
Wow.
You won't
So
have the depression.
right. So let me ask you this, right? Because I know I think Lanika, you asked about the estrogen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a background of or a history of cancer in your family, wh- what do you suggest? Because that's why I won't take estrogen because of the cancer in the background of cancer in my family. What do you suggest with that if I had that kind of a background?
Well, I think that is a conversation that the patient will have with their GYN. And I think that's an extensive conversation to have because just because I know estrogen or HRT, hormone replacement therapy, years ago, they were saying was the cause of breast cancer. But I think studies have shown now that some people or some women do well with HRT. So that's why it's a personal thing, and it's something that you would have to really deep dive into with your GYN, with your GYN person. And if your symptoms are that severe, then I would probably maybe consider it for a short term. Like this other woman that I met a couple of weeks ago, she did it for a very short time. She said she had vaginal dryness. She wasn't having her and her husband, the relationship with her and her husband wasn't well because of that. And
Mm-hmm.
she said once she took the HRT, it helped her in all areas, and now she's off of it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think it all depends on the person. I would never tell somebody no. I would leave them that option, but it is something that to discuss with, especially if it's impacting your daily life and the relationship that you're having with your
That's
spouse or
good.
with your children,
That's good.
because
Mhm.
it spills over in other areas when we start to talk about the depression and the
Right.
anxiety and things like that.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I have a question too, as far as like you said, it's every woman's preference. So let's say, for example, um, I went through my perimenopausal stage. If I'm saying it correctly, like
Perry.
Ellen said,
Mm-hmm.
peri. Um, and in my time, I experienced the hot flashes, which was pretty bad. I think I experienced them for the first time when Ellison and I kind of went on a girls' trip. I was starting to have the flashes, and I was telling my doctor, "Hey, I'm noticing that I'm having hot flashes. Seems it's my mood seems to be a little bit off. How can I adjust that, or what is going on?" I ended up being in the stage of needing estrogen, so I chose the option to take the estrogen. So I take the pill, birth
Mm-hmm.
control, and it actually regulates me as far as I don't have hot flashes anymore. My mood seems to be stable. Cancer does not run in my family, but I've been on it for a few years now. And it's kind of like nothing's going wrong. I'm just kind of tired of taking the estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to know in the areas, and you're kind of you're kind of speaking on it right now, but I want to know what's natural out there. But I'm assuming everything you just talked about is what are the natural remedies, or is it anything else? So I kind of want to wean myself from it, but I don't want to experience the hot flashes. I haven't experienced the vaginal dryness or anything, but I don't want to experience that. So I'm just looking to see what direction can I take or can I flow in, because I think I've been back on the pill for about a good 7 years now, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to necessarily stay on the pill.
Mm-hmm.
Find a natural remedy so I can continue to not have hot flashes and to continue to be able to enjoy my libido as I do with moving on with my life as I do. So I don't want that to shift on me because I'm good in
So
that.
what's the question, Jay? What's the
So
question?
I, I
I
hear
just
what
want to
you're
know
saying.
if I were
Uh,
to get off, how
right.
can I move forward with something natural, a natural solution
Okay.
I,
to, to get off
right.
the birth control.
I heard what you were saying. I would do it gradually. I
Okay.
would pick something, or I would maybe start drinking a tea, and of course I would let my GYN know what I'm doing. And I don't blame you. I think I would try to get off of taking synthetic medications also, to see how it does. And
Mhm.
all you could do is try. And then, but make sure you're doing it when you start to do it. Make sure that your diet is good, your diet is clean, meaning that you're not doing excessive sugar, excessive starch, salt, and that you have a protocol in already managing your stress level, because sometimes stress causes our hot flashes. So you kind of want to plan for this next phase.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing too with that, with the moving on to the next phase, I have that actual appointment coming up real soon. So I'll ask these questions. So I'm glad we're talking about this on today, because this is going to take place for me in the next few weeks. So I just want to get all the information that I can possibly obtain from it. So you said gradually go through it. Don't do it like instantly. Like when you say gradually, like say for example, I take a pill every day. Do I slowly add on some of the natural remedies and then take the pill maybe every other day? Like how should I kind of go about it, or should I just discuss it with my OBGYN?
Okay, I would say discuss it with your OBGYN, but you got to realize that sometimes they are not on board with natural
Herbs.
medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would say
Pharmaceuticals.
is,
I know they give us some of that.
yeah, they're not on board. That's why you have to be proactive in your own healthcare. So I would say I would start some of the natural remedies while I'm still taking. I wouldn't stop anything abruptly at all, but I would start some of the natural things. I don't know if you exercise now, or if you don't exercise, you may want to start. If
I
you
do.
are not, paying attention to your diet, you might want to start to do that. Add more fruits and vegetables, eliminate white rice, white bread, things like that.
See,
Sugar. I'm sorry.
She got to cut out
Oh,
that gumbo. That's what she said.
oh, yeah. So you might want to spicy foods. Spicy foods also may trigger hot flashes. So you kind of want to, as they say, get your ducks in order before you before you make that transition.
I'm never
Okay.
making Ellison
but
eat
but
any
it can
gumbo
but it
again.
can be done. And being that you were on HRT, so maybe that kind of helped and subsided your symptoms.
Okay. All
It
right.
did. It did. So that's why I think I'm so comfortable being on it, but I don't want to be 50 and
Like
55 and
Jay,
I'm
this
still.
is not your OBGYN appointment. I thought we were getting ready to talk about this vaginal dryness. That's what I thought we was about to talk about.
Well, let's talk about it then. Let's talk about vaginal dryness. Is it the same thing or is it a different remedy? Is it something we can buy over the counter? Let's go.
Well, for vaginal dryness, there is things that you could get from your drugstore to help with that. Or you
Okay.
could ask your primary doctor or your GYN, or you could just go to the pharmacist, CVS, and ask them what they have for vaginal dryness. I know there's a KY jelly. I
Mm-hmm.
know they have that. Anything other than that, I'm not sure, but I guess you could also spend quality time, spend extra time, with your spouse if you have time. And we know how that, you know what I'm trying to say, right? I mean,
It's
spend a
real
little,
talk, Tammy. What are you saying?
yeah, spend a little extra time.
Right.
Yeah,
What you say, Nick?
foreplay,
I didn't hear you.
intimacy. It can't be a wham bam, thank you, ma'am type of thing, because that's not going to work.
Gotta rev
So,
up the engine.
The little
Yes.
quickie.
Y'all are funny. What you got? What you got, Lanika? It's
I,
real
I,
talk,
I,
Tammy. It's
I,
okay.
I, I have to say that since I had my surgery, I've never had and I'm 61, so I'm definitely in the menopause years. But I have never had a hot flash. I have never had, but I think now that I've been studying and reading and researching more on menopause, I think I've had definitely the weight gain, definitely the weight gain, and the difficulty in losing the weight from it. But the other symptoms, I really haven't experienced
Okay,
myself.
that's good. That's good.
I think my question is, I'm not in perimenopause or menopause yet, but my question is,
Well,
how can I
praise God.
why are you this way? Why are you this way? But my question is, how can we be supportive, right? We have a ERG at work. And I want to be supportive to my colleagues. I want to be supportive to the women in my life, that are, having anxiety, having depression. My close friend who is like, it's a lot for her, right? 3 weeks of
Mhm.
a period, right? Just how can we that are not there yet be supportive to the people in our life who are walking through this?
Turn the heat off.
What is happening?
Really,
Turn the
Ellison?
heat
Okay.
off.
What's happening?
She's
Well,
sick of me and you, Ellison. She said, what is
yeah,
happening?
well, we as women, we just recently started talking about menopause, because
Yes.
when I was younger, no one said anything about menopause. I mean, I knew about it because I guess every person know that at some point in your life that you're not going to be able to bear children anymore, and the name of that is called menopause. But I really feel that it should be um more educated. We need to be
Mm-hmm.
educated on it. We need to be empowered on it. We need to be enlightened. But how do you what do you do when people don't talk about it unless they share with you what they're going through? So I think that, I mean, dialogues like this, even in the church setting, you know how many women don't talk about menopause, or how many women may be suffering from a lot of the symptoms of menopause and not know that it's from menopause. Because even with the anxiety and the depression, at some point you have to or the doctor have to um um I guess realize, is it from menopause or is it from some type of other mental disorder?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
So
at what
it's like a big issue.
Yeah.
mhm.
I mean,
So
this.
at what age, what are the beginning stages, or what is the youngest you've ever known to go into the perimenopausal stage?
You
And
could be in your 30s. You could be as young as in your 30s. I mean, the actual or quote unquote book picture is 40s and 50s, but you can actually be in your 30s and start going through some of these changes, especially when you notice that young women start having missed periods. Those are some of the indications that you are going through, and that could last for years before
Yeah.
you progress into the other symptoms.
Yeah. I want to go back to the support because I think that's really important because sometimes our spouses they don't understand and they don't know how to be supportive. So not only as like a friend, but even as a spouse, like how do we support? Because you have the irritation, you have the anger, the anxiety, you get anxious, especially if there's times when you are when your menstruation is more than once a month. It's like it's really overwhelming. So what is it that that we can do? I know with me when I used to have it, I used to tell my husband, I'm like, listen, I need a moment that's gonna last probably about 5 days. Right? I need to protect my peace and help you too. So
Right,
I just
right.
need that time. But how do the men and how do we help other women besides being just the ear, or is just the ear sometime okay?
I think exactly what you just said, because who's going to know unless you tell them? So I think that when if we know that we get angry during our periods, because a lot of times you could be angry, you can have mood changes where you're mean to your spouse or to your children, and I think that we have to verbalize that, this is why I'm angry and I need a minute, and I think that support comes from them listening to you and kind of giving you that moment, asking you, is there anything that you need during that time? Other than space, and maybe and we do need space, because a lot of times we don't want to be touched, we don't want to be spoken to. um so I think that's how that we can support others and how they can support us. But it comes with first of all verbalizing that you are in need,
Mhm.
because who would know? Because I mean, people walk around angry for many different reasons. People walk around depressed for many different reasons. It may not be because of menopause. So we have to, have different conversations where people feel comfortable in saying to, look, this is my monthly, or I'm going through, give me a minute. And
Okay.
even at your job, because I used to, I mean, I used to go to work even as a nurse. And there's so many times that I wanted to stay home, so many times I wanted to call out. And I think that even in jobs could be more accommodating to women during that time,
Man,
because
wouldn't that be lovely?
we go through a lot. Sometimes we bleed so much that we have accidents, and it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. So I
Is
think
there
having
groups? Like I know
Mhm.
there's Facebook groups because I was in one, but they made me depressed, so I got out of it. right? But is there groups from the hospital? Like, do hospitals have groups for menopause and stuff like? I'm serious, Nikki. You
Some
laughing?
no,
They
no,
were
some
depressing.
no, some hospitals have menopause support group. Yeah, there's a support
Okay.
group pretty much for everything. It may
Okay.
not be a lot, but yeah, they are support groups. And I think as women, I think we need it because I think the conversation needs to go on because it's
Mm,
so, I mean, we touched on, we tried to touch on a lot, but even with what we touched on, there's so much underneath each category that we didn't, that we just skimmed the surface. So
Right.
there's a lot of information to be given. It's a lot of, just a lot of things to know that would help us, individually so we can help other people.
thank
Yeah,
you for that.
also
Yeah.
too, I think as well, I think women, I often wonder, because I don't know very many women that are in the stages of menopause, but sometimes I believe it could be such things as just being embarrassed to even share what you're going through with somebody as far as
Mm,
being in premenopausal, or menopausal. Um, I think some women may feel ashamed that they're going through a different stage in life, or you know.
I
that's
think that
real.
most, I think that most women, I don't even think they look at it as I know they know that they're going through they're feeling physical symptoms in their body, but I don't know if they're making that connection that is actual menopause.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're so uneducated in that area that they know they're going
Mm,
through, something every month, but I don't think they're making the connection that, you know what? Maybe this is menopause. Maybe this is what I'm going through. And I think that's why it's a lot of educating. We still need to educate ourselves and women surrounding that topic.
I think that's good that you brought that up, Jay, because before I was ashamed, right? And I didn't want to walk around with a fan. So when I was in a grocery store, I spent many a times looking for the French fries in the freezer section because I didn't want to walk around with a fan. And at any given moment, mine was so severe that it used to make me nauseous and everything else. That's how
Right.
severe they were. So I would literally be in the freezer in the grocery section, or if I'm talking to somebody, I would be so embarrassed because I would just start sweating and everything. Now I have like 3, 4 fans. I walk around, I carry them everywhere I go. And I'm like, y'all know I get hot flashes, and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I just accepted it because, and that's another thing I was gonna say, menopause can come even from, like, I had a hysterectomy, right? So
Hmm.
they originally said, "Oh, you're 40." I think I was 40 or 41. You're not going to get menopause. 2 weeks later, I felt like an inferno. I was like, "What is this?" And they didn't educate me, right? So you can be medically induced into menopause.
Yes. Usually, when you have a hysterectomy and they take out your ovaries, that usually puts you right into menopause. I had
Wow.
a partial hysterectomy where they left my ovaries. So I necessarily didn't go straight into menopause because I still had estrogen. So now at 61, I could start experiencing hopefully I bypass that phase, but if not, I could even start having hot flashes. Who's to say? Because I still have my ovaries.
So
But
the
if you have a total hysterectomy where they take out all your reproductive organs, then that puts you straight into menopause.
Tammy,
so,
it's been 10 years.
mhm.
When does it stop?
If
Okay, about 10,
birth control,
about 10, because menopausal symptoms can go as far as 10 years and maybe over.
Uh oh, Tammy,
Now, have you had hot flashes the whole time?
Man, yes. They used to be from my feet to the top of my head, and then every
Wow.
few years they stopped. So now it's from my belly up. I'm like, okay, Lord. So this is gonna be from my chest up, and they finally
Right.
gonna go. But I'm be 70. I'm be almost in the grave, and I'm still dealing with menopause. What you got, Lanika?
Yeah, Nika had something. Go ahead.
No, my friend texted me. You didn't ask my question. So
Oh.
Uh-oh.
about nausea. Is there anything she can do about the nausea and the insomnia she
Mm-hmm.
is experiencing? So she's not, she says she's always nauseous, no matter
Now,
what.
is
Insomnia.
the nauseousness from the hot flashes or is
She
just
doesn't have
nausea?
doesn't have hot flashes. She's in perimenopause. It's just
Okay.
she's just all if she eats or drinks anything, she's just very, very nauseous. So now she
It,
doesn't.
it, is that coming from menopause or it could be coming from something else? Does she know for
Is she
sure that the
pregnant?
nausea is coming from?
I'm gonna have her call you.
Because yeah, because it makes a difference if the nausea is from menopause or is it from something else
Well,
that may
before
be
she was
going on.
experiencing all these perimenopausal symptoms, she wasn't nauseous like this. So she
Okay.
didn't know what it was. Like I said, we didn't know. We just seen Tabitha Brown talking about it, and she was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
what's my symptoms?" So she talked about it with her doctor. Her doctor had never said anything. So she just noticed that whenever she eats anything, she said, or whenever she drinks anything, even water, she's very, very nauseous, and she has severe insomnia. So either she'll be dead tired, and she'll go home and she'll wake up in like an hour or two and just be up, like up for the whole.
Right.
Perimenopausal is kind of scary though, because you're in that phase, as she said earlier. Nurse mentioned you can have a cycle for 2 months, not have one for 3 months, and that's like a transition. So in that moment, when I was going through it, I was like, "Oh Lord, am I pregnant? Oh Lord!" And so
Hmm.
I said, "Could she possibly be pregnant?" I only say that because when you're going through that phase, it's kind of scary, right? It's kind of like a transition. You're not in full menopause,
Right.
you're
Right.
still sexually active, you're missing a period, you don't know
Right.
if you could possibly be pregnant in the midst of it as well. So that's scary to me, you know?
And I
So that
don't know.
nausea is real because I
Yeah. And
I
experienced it
believe
too.
that part though.
I don't know if the nausea, if it's and I know she knows her body, but the nausea is all the time and not just a couple of times a month, but it's just all the time
Well, it's all the time because she's been having 3 cycles for 3 weeks. So she's only been having like 1 week where she's not bleeding.
where she's
Wow.
off. Okay.
Yeah. So I
Wow.
do I
That's the
do know
difference
that.
then.
I
Now
do.
there's
Yeah. Put
definitely
Tammy's information up on the screen.
herbal teas that she can use for the insomnia, and a lot of times they're called nervines and they work on the nervous system, and a lot of times those teas are effective. So I would probably encourage her to look into something like that. Um, Also, I mean, there's a lot of other things that she can do. Make sure that she's not eating close to bedtime. She may want to do some baths. And a lot of things that we recommend, natural remedies, people, they don't really want to do. Like, I recommend baths for a lot of things, but people nowadays, they don't have time to take a bath. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't
Mm.
have time to take a bath. I don't have time to sit in the bathtub. But those are some of the things with essential oils. Those are some of the things that will definitely or can help.
Hmm. Let me ask you this, Lanika, and I don't know if she said it, but even Valerie had mentioned about night sweats. Let me tell you something about them night sweats. They have got to be from the devil because they keep me up.
You
They
sure
keep.
that's
I'm
nice
serious.
sweat,
They
Ellison?
enter. I'm still having night sweats. Y'all, I got my air on 65. I got the fan overhead. I got the tower fan on, and I still will have a night. I'll still have night sweats.
But Ellison, let me ask you a question. Are you okay, I'm just thinking of like a whole protocol for you. Are you paying attention to your diet? Are you doing the teas 3 times a day? Are you doing all the necessary things? Are you eliminating your sugar, starches, salt. Are you doing all those things?
So what I'm not doing is I don't do sugars. I don't do starches.
I'm
That
looking
was
at
just
Lanique.
never me. I'm trying to think what all I don't do, but
I'm
some of it, no. I don't take my black cohosh root like I should. All that stuff.
okay.
So for the most
Okay.
part, I guess I can say no, but I do
Okay.
eliminate most of that stuff, right?
Okay. I'm laughing at Lanika. But okay, so
Well,
I'm gonna
maybe
tell
I'm
we can
about
you
to take
what.
her
start
off
it
screen.
together. The black cohosh. Maybe we can start
Wait.
it together.
So listen, y'all not gonna throw me under the bus by myself. Valerie, did you stop doing all those things, Miss Valerie?
Okay, so let me just tell you what my
She said I do
mentor
all those.
told me when I went to St. Lucia in January. What told a group of people that I was with, they asked a question to him. They said, "What would you recommend for me? You know, to feel better, to change my habits." So he said to them, "Are you doing this? Exercising. Are you doing this? Eating right." He named a couple of 3 or 4 different things he asked them. So he said to them, "Until you do what you know to do, don't ask me what I recommend." And I'm not saying,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying?
Boom.
So
Like
he
that.
said, "Until you do," and these were ministers. And he said, "Until you do what you already know to do, which is change your diet, exercise, eat right, meditate, pray, or whatever, then don't ask me what I recommend, because what I recommend is going to be 10 times harder than what you already know how to do." So,
That's
Tell it.
so my answer to you is, try to do what you're supposed to do as far as drinking your tea 3 times a day, changing
What
your
tea do
diet,
you recommend?
eliminating the starches, eliminating sugar, and managing your stress. Try to do that as to the point as you can, then see if that doesn't work.
Okay, so what
Because
I'm
the black
hearing,
coal,
Tammy, what I'm hearing you say is you about to make me this tea that I need to drink 3 times
of
a
course,
Right. I
day.
was
yes,
about to say, what
yes.
tea do you recommend, or what? I don't know. But go
Well, I
ahead.
have a blend that I make with
no, don't tell me.
Don.
Don't tell. Tell.
Huh?
They have to call you for a consultation.
Right.
You
Well,
just
I
have
have
a
a blend.
blend.
I have a blend. Yes.
Okay.
But it includes black cohosh.
Yeah. So
I
listen,
need
Yes.
y'all.
some.
I know Tammy to be the truth because Tammy, you in Jersey or New York?
I'm in Jersey.
She in Jersey, y'all, and I will get her to ship me juice.
Exactly. Yes, I have.
Yes. So yes, I know her to be the truth. So she say we gonna take this tea. I'm gonna try this tea because these hot flashes and night sweats keep trying me. Okay, so we got to
Yeah.
do
And
something.
all of us too, let's try to do what we know to do to the best of our ability, and that way we can see what works and what doesn't work, because we'll never know if we don't take it like we are supposed to take it. So just
Discipline.
like when your doctor prescribe a medication to you, if you don't take it like it's prescribed, then it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with herbal medicine.
Okay.
I
All
love it.
right. Boom.
Thank you.
Love that. See, Tammy, I'm getting you business. I gotta call you for a consultation.
Valerie,
Thank
we
you,
will
ladies.
definitely have her information up again at the end of the show, and then also we'll make sure we put it in I don't know what it's called when it's behind the scenes, but we'll make sure we put it in the information so you'll get it. So we make sure we'll get it to you in the description. I'm sorry, but we'll make sure we get it to you. We need the tea.
This is interesting. This is good.
Yes, we need the tea, and the sad thing about it is many people don't like shows like this. They're like, because it's nothing ratchet. We're not doing anything ratchet. We're trying to educate so we can have a healthy life, so we can have that life more abundantly. Because I'm about
That's
over these
right.
hot flashes.
But listen, if they keep living, they're gonna need this information. Trust me.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen. And the depression part, I want to speak to that a little bit. I know that to be real. I didn't sink. Be only got thank God because I know tools and stuff like that and lots of prayer. But the depression from the hot flashes, especially when I first got them, they were so severe that when I tell you I was sick, I was really sick, and it was just making me so depressed because it wasn't anything that I could do, and I did have the talk with my GYN, and she said absolutely not for the estrogen, right?
Oh,
So I just felt stuck.
so did you take anything for it? For the
I didn't learn
depression?
about black cohosh root until like three years in. But by that time, I was already hugging myself with a "I love me" jacket, rocking. I mean, it was just a
So
lot. It's a lot
so
happening.
how did you get through your depression?
So, well, because like I said, I know like the coping skills, the tools. My husband was there very supportive because I was crying a lot. I was praying. I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I stayed in the freezer if I went to the grocery stores. I can't. It was so bad in here that my
Wow.
mom cussed me out because I had snow coming through the door because I had the door open. My husband was sleeping in a sweatsuit with a hat on. It was horrible. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. This is real talk. It was horrible. And then it was embarrassing because you ever have a hot flash while you trying to be intimate?
Oh.
The-
Look at-
That sounds
I
like
don't think I
tragedy.
experienced that one.
Tragedy.
Hey, doesn't that add to it or no? Well, you know
that
what?
is the truth.
You know what? I've been a psychiatric nurse for 17 years. And the first time I heard, we get people with depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, all sorts of mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
But it was this one time when we had this female patient, and her depression was from menopause, and I could
Mm-hmm.
not believe it. It was
Mm-hmm.
menopause induced, and that was
Mm-hmm.
the first time I ever heard of menopause causing depression. And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of made me like take notice. Like, I mean, I was younger, so I wasn't in menopausal years, but it made me take notice. Like, okay, so pay attention to yourself. When you get um, around to be that age, and even now, I pay attention to my body.
Mhm.
Even I went to I had a mammogram done yesterday, and I just pay attention to every little thing that happens to my body because I want to know if maybe this is menopausal. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, you said menopause depression, but menopause anxiety is real too. And
Oh, of course, yeah.
sometimes it can last a part of menopause, and sometimes it
Hmm.
can last the duration of the menopause,
Right,
right? So that's the whole piece where we have to understand like yes, it's knowing our bodies like you were saying, it's knowing what is going on with us,
right,
what are the natural things if you want to go natural, what are the synthetic if you want to go synthetic,
right,
but knowing, educating yourself on what it is that I'm going through,
right,
especially if it's a monthly thing, right?
right.
The other part is you brought up mammogram, and I know I go for mine tomorrow, so I said I was going to post it and do a video all on about this mammogram that I
Hmm.
got to have because so many people don't know about it. They scared about it. They have questions, but they won't ask. So I'm definitely going to be like, hey, y'all, today's mammogram
Right,
day.
right. And that is so true what you just said. There's a lot of women, even women in the church, there's a lot of women who never went for a mammogram, never had a
Mm,
mammogram. Never. And there's a lot of
yep.
women who know nothing about menopause.
Yep.
So I mean, and breast cancer, the technician, she said to me yesterday, because I was complaining about being comfortable with them smashing your breast
Man,
tissue.
smashing,
And
twisting,
I was
and
like,
pulling.
so she said to me, do you rather for me to would you rather have your breast tissue smashed, or would you rather deal with breast cancer? She said
Smash,
because
baby, smash.
I see this every single day. I see women in their 30s being diagnosed with breast cancer, and I see
Mm.
women that she told me there was a lady that was 84 years old diagnosed with breast cancer. So I think
Jesus.
we have to spread, and I know I usually teach women how to do breast self examination. And you'll be surprised how many women are uninterested in even learning how to do that,
Wow.
or they've never done it.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know
Wow.
how serious it is until you get older, until you get face to face with, with these illnesses
Yes,
that
that's
is
deep.
serious. And education is the key. Educating
Mm-hmm.
yourself is the key.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
Having
good.
options, and also knowing that you have options.
Yes. Yes. I think that's powerful. Jay, did you have something?
Nope, I'm good. She just
Oh,
answered it.
okay. All right. So yeah, so we're definitely Tam, we gotta have you back because mammogram is a whole nother
It, it
animal.
is. It
It
is.
is.
So you look at your
Women's
schedule and we'll
reproductive
fit you in. Go ahead.
women's reproductive um health in and of itself is a lot of information.
Yes, and we have got to be educated, especially at a time when, back in the days, a lot of our ethnicity, we didn't believe in doctors, right? We
Hmm.
just didn't go, right? So we got to let that go and we got to start going to the doctors so that we can understand. We got to learn our bodies. We got to see what the other options
Right.
are out there, to figure out what's going on and what's healthiest for us. What works for
Absolutely.
you is what's for you, right? You can't
Absolutely.
base your story on nobody else's, right?
Absolutely.
So I
Yes.
know we're over just a little bit, but we have been talking about perimenopause, premenopause, menopause, all kind of stuff we've
Slow,
been talking
slow,
about on here.
slow.
Right, all that stuff. Hot flashes, yeah, vaginal dryness. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just been a good show. Jay had her own little personal GYN on here. What you got, Lanika?
I'm not playing with you, Ellison.
I was going to say, especially for believers, that,
Mhm.
we know that Jesus is our ultimate healer, right?
Mhm.
We hear a lot of people say, well, Jesus is my doctor, but it's
Right.
so important for us to also say that he made physicians,
Mhm.
right?
Exactly.
Encourage people, you know, believers, and yes, Jesus is the healer, right? He is Jehovah.
Mhm.
He would show up as that, but you have to have these conversations with your doctor. So just wanted to
Hmm.
encourage, like, especially our older seasoned saints,
Mhm.
who grew up in a different time, that they,
Exactly.
just consider that, these conversations with their doctor can improve their quality of life.
Exactly.
Mhm. Yep,
I
that's
I
good.
agree. I agree. Yeah, because I
We
think
need to
there's
have these
there's a
classes
lot
in
of
the church.
women. I'm sorry.
I said we just need to have some classes for the church in the church, something.
Yeah,
Because when they gonna go?
that you know what, and we have to, even when you offer, we still have to encourage them to come,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
get the information, because I think there's a lot of women suffering in silence
Mhm.
because they
Yes.
don't know. Yeah,
Yes.
because they don't know a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Well, Tammy, I'm about to ask you for a nugget because we gotta end. But I thank you, ladies, all for coming on here and talking about this with me. Because listen, this is real stuff, and that's what we want to do. We want to educate the community, educate the people, so that they can be better, so that we can live healthy, right? So, what's
Exactly.
your nugget for us, Tammy?
Well, my nugget is to continue to educate yourself, continue to be proactive in your healthcare, because we are responsible for our own healthcare. No one else is responsible, not your spouse, not your children. You are responsible for yourself. And just to do your research and know that there's options for everything. There's always an option for everything. But as we all know, that God is our ultimate healer, and that
Mm-hmm.
we are to look to him for everything, so he can guide us in who to go to, who to talk to, and how to navigate this thing called health.
Amen. Amen. That's right. And in order for us to be whole, we got to have our spiritual, our mental, our physical, all of that is incorporated in that, right? So that's right. So
Amen.
listen, guys, I know if you've been watching, you've been tuning in, we've been talking about Tammy and we've been talking about this tea. We've been talking about this tea that we got to drink for. That's okay, Valerie. It'll be replayed. You can watch the replay. So we've been talking about this tea that we got to drink for 3 times a day.
Three
So
times
for
a
more
day at
information,
least.
right, here's how to reach Tammy so that you can get this wonderful tea. Y'all see it there? It will also be in our description so that you can make sure we have it. You'll have it. All right. So reach out, guys. It's time for us to really get healthy. It's really time for us to get healthy. So Tammy, again, I want to thank you so much for just your time. Let us
Thank
know when you can come
you.
back so we can talk about mammograms because I go for
Oh,
mine
sure.
tomorrow. Okay,
Yes.
so let me know your
Yes.
schedule. We'll talk.
Okay. Good to see you,
Okay.
Lanika.
Me too.
All right.
I'm
So, well, you know
genius.
what? Y'all need to just
Okay.
hold on and go behind the scenes so we can finish this conversation. All
Okay.
right. So,
I
love
said I
y'all. Thank
wanted
you,
to.
My co-host Lanika, my co-host Jay. It's been real, guys. Listen, thank you so much for tuning in to Real Talk with Ellison. If you know anybody that is going through PMDD, perimenopause, premenopause, menopause, share this show with them. Share this show with them because Tammy gave us some knowledge, okay? And she also gave us some tips on what to do with herbs and everything else. And her information is on the screen several times. So thank you again for tuning in to Real Talk with Ellison. We will see you next week at 7. Mwah. God bless.
God bless.
Bye bye.